In this video, we will talk about the two types of documentation required for reporting on performance measures related to housing services. The first type of documentation you'll have to select and include when reporting on households being served on the performance measure report is the household eligibility. Why we report on household eligibility is so we can demonstrate that the households being counted towards our performance measures are eligible to be served because they're considered low income or experiencing homelessness. When you report on their eligibility to be counted, it does not have anything to do with the household's eligibility for services at your site. For example, your site may develop affordable housing for moderate income households, and you may work with them, and that's great, but you're not going to report on that household. You're only reporting on households that are considered low income or experiencing homelessness. You'll only need to select one type of documentation per household, and that household eligibility documentation needs to be on file at your service site. You don't need to upload the eligibility documentation to AmericaLearns when you're uploading your reports. It just has to be available on site. The one exception to this would be the Homes for All verification of homelessness form. You can upload that and include it in your scan. You don't have to, but the reason you can upload it is because there's no identifying or confidential information on that form. The different types of eligibility documentation include benefits letters that can mean Medicaid, SNAP, SSI, SSDI, their eligibility for Section 8 housing assistance or supportive housing program vouchers, or the KTAP program. If you're serving a family unit or individual experiencing homelessness, there are two types of documentation that you can use. The first would be a verification of homelessness from your service site. A lot of the members that serve at a shelter, your site probably uses a HUD form for like ESG or COC, and that can be the verification of homelessness you use. But if your site doesn't use those forms and you need to document someone experiencing homelessness, you can use a form that we've developed. It's the Homes for All verification of homelessness. It's on the HHCK website under current member resources. And it's a form that will need to be signed by someone at your service site, preferably your site supervisor, but it can be someone else. It's not signed by you or another AmeriCorps member if someone is serving at your site that's also in our program. Other documents that you can use to determine eligibility would be a disability determination letter, a past due bill that's at least 60 days behind, a copy of a credit report with a credit score below 620, or income tax return or pay stub proving that the client or household is below 200% of the poverty level for their household size. So depending on the type of services you provide, you're going to choose the eligibility documentation that works best for you. So if you're serving someone that's trying to become a homeowner, you're not going to choose the verification of homelessness. And if you're serving someone that's experiencing homelessness, you're probably not going to use a credit report with a credit score below 620. So just find the one that best fits you or what's available on site with your service site. Once we are able to move a household into housing or they were able to maintain housing, we're going to select a proof of housing to demonstrate that the client was housed. These documents have to be on file at your service site. CNCS recommends either a lease or a mortgage. These are not documents that would have to be uploaded. If you chose them, you would just select those on the performance measure form and re-upload that form into AmericaLearns. You can also use a verification of housing from your service site. That's considered an external agency, so your service site can verify that that household was placed into housing or was able to maintain housing. So this is a separate form. It is available on the HHCK website. It has spots for you to sign and your site supervisor to sign, and you'll upload that to America Learns. This isn't really a preferred documentation, but it can be used if no other documentation exists. The beneficiary, the client, or the household can self-report their housing status, saying that they've moved into housing that's affordable and safe for them. And that would have to be reported to your service site. You would use a separate form. It doesn't contain any confidential or private information. All you would do is list the client ID or code name. And again, it has lines for you to sign and your site supervisor to sign, and then it would be uploaded to America Learns. So if you use this option or the option on the last slide, you'll have to include that when you upload the performance measure form for the second time. So if you check that box on the performance measure form, this document needs to be uploaded or the service site document needs to be uploaded. If you choose lease or mortgage, those two do not have to be uploaded. You can access all of these forms on our HHCK website under current member resources. You can have the most up-to-date performance measure form for housing services, the most up-to-date form for reporting on volunteers. This is where you can access the verification of homelessness, the beneficiary self-report of housing, the service site verification of housing, and we also have a link to all the tutorial videos we've developed for performance measure reporting.